Greetings, fellow Ambazonians. This is Capo Daniel. Today na 22 day for this month of June 2023. Do one a part of our special edition for our daily podcast. As we are here, Paul Biya, the master of disguise, the chief terrorist, where then became be delusional, he then arrived for France without using a presidential motorcade. Neither did he use the normal chartered planes the way he used them for travel, for leave for a country, Cameroon. So he did for a very big meeting where he did for France. He be accompanied by Paul Biya for the first time for a diplomatic mission. This one would give a lot of tales about which way it go on in particular. He go for this meeting where he no put a name for the official list where they don't publish them for those where they will be in attendance. So it shows say this country, say they call and say Cameroon, na a bizarre, strange country, and it don't happen for be a subject of Ambazonian subjugation. So fellow Ambazonians, there are a lot of things where it happen. This meeting it be very crucial for the future of France, their policy for Africa, where for the most part it determine America and most of the West, their policy towards Africa. So we would follow them closely. I would then also submit some appeals directly to the French government where it be probably forget no consequence at all, but we will continue for the try, for the push our case. One very significant thing will then happen. Now say, La République du Cameroon, their parliament, it then passed a very, very significant law where na Article 4, Section 3, where it finally establish legal basis, not be just presidential decree, where it then separate the Anglo-Saxon education system from the Francophone education system. This one a part of the core where it then trigger this our war for Ambazonian freedom. We know very well say now the issue where Cameroon be talks the one for harmonize the two system for create a unique system for Cameroon since 2001. Where they become for talk say the one for bring this their program where it be centered about university programs where it be based on the 1998 law. They call and say education law for Cameroon. If I make mistake for the quotation, please pardon me. For this law, it cover both childhood, primary, secondary, and technical and teachers training education. The so-called harmonization, it will be a total francophonization where we see La République du Cameroon dispatch French teacher them inside our own Anglo-Saxon region them, where they never ever be trained in our own Anglo-Saxon system, including the side for the law. Now, the problem na say the Cameroon government, despite all the argument where teacher they be make them, the argument the way lawyer they be make them, they be the argument na say me them put this constitution, make it separate these two subsection them. The Cameroon react by killing people, burning school, and destroying our territory. We caused this war to fight them. Now, the Cameroon government then decide to go it alone. Apart from the so-called fake law, the way they then create them with presidential degree, for finally make a constitutional act for separate the two educational system them. And this one now, it be meaningless because the Ambazonian people, they fight now for the root causes we don't allow Cameroon for abuse the union or the fake union or illegal union we don't find ourselves together with them. We know say the prevailing winds where they go on for the international community, the Cameroon go on for dictate the future. Their primary objective now for show the war, say the Cameroon government it take positive step them for solve the problem then we as Ambazonian or the so-called anglophone they don't present them. Why for we Ambazonian these things are no brainer. But the Paul Biya it carry the document now for go and for France where you know say Emmanuel Macron and the rest of the African Union country where they go confront with the problem for inside Ambazonia. So either equip yourself with the law where they don't make them now for go show them say they so now the solution then this way either propose them and way they actively solve the problem for ground zero. The question now say even when this measure the way they take them, it not touch the root causes, it no satisfy, it no meet up our aspiration, and a no-brainer. Are we Ambazonians capable of even understanding what is going on? Do we know the battleground for our case? Or are we so obsessed talking to ourselves, fighting each other, and making sure that nobody will go ahead except we, or our group, or our own favorite activists or personalities within our struggle? These are very tough questions, and these are the most consequential issue where those country where them be significant enough for change or for take decision where it will affect the establishment of a country, then be more concerned about them. As this particular episode for this podcast now for help our people, for educate them on our international engagement. The international community right now, they no day now for favor we the Ambazonians, because we nobody yet fight for our case properly. Even if we fight them properly, there will always be excuse, but we don't give them enough excuse for try for ignore what way would happen. Number one thing where it don't come up constantly. Now say the international community, they talk say, we Ambazonia would fight because till we start the fight, now the lawyer and the teacher their protest. We know say our problem, if it done day since Cameroon, it take over our country. But we need to acknowledge, say for the rest of the war and the international community, they don't see those past period them like relatively quiet period them. And for their own perspective, this struggle already started now for 2016. And for you to communicate with the international community, you must take cognizance of how they view things and make sure we are capable of addressing their concern and speaking in a language where they go understand them. For the international community, since Paul Biya, if it deny this problem, say it need to exist, it decides to launch war. They return now, they look and say the Paul Biya, they take measure them, where it be positive measure them for help, for solve the problem where we originally will be the question about them. The problem now say will be incapacitated for even respond or even address this issue them, because we are not concerned about what Cameroon thinks. We are not even concerned about what the international community thinks. All we are concerned is about is to become the most famous, the most strongest group, the most accepted groups within ourselves, which is completely irrelevant and useless when it comes to provide progressive solution to our crisis. The Cameroon government, when our primary enemy, it don't call a so-called Grand National Dialogue. We for Ambazonia, we simply dismiss them without even addressing it. For the international community, because it be important make our people that understand their perspective. For them, they make no sense. Because if we talk so we fight about something, then the enemy come, he even invite all we. Because they know they invite we because they be like and say more come for the or they be even like and say more consider them. They be invite we because they play politics. When man invite you because they play politics, you deny them, you stand up for public, you deny, you no give any reason. Now that man, if they go back, go see the people the way they ready matter, explain them for them. So when I see these people, even when we invite them, then dismiss and say they don't want any conversation with we because they only want go talk now for white man country. And for we Ambazonians, the international community, why they know, say they measure them or the national dialogue, now a fake thing, they at least expect say we for even address the Cameroon government, tell them why it been affecting, why it not be accepted. But we don't dismiss them. A day as a day, the purpose for this podcast now for educate our people about the international engagement, the way it go on. The Cameroon so-called Grand National Dialogue, it produced what they call and say the special status, where na a huge significant change in posture for a government where we talk say this problem in it exist. For come now, not be just for accepting the problem day, but for actually grant a special status when a tacit and direct recognition. Say we the Ambazonian people, we get a unique history stemming from the time of colonialization, where it requires state consideration in terms of governance. It not treat we the so-called anglophone Northwest and Southwest like two separate places, but it treat both territory as one place, one special status for both the so-called Northwest and Southwest, or for the whole anglophone area, and for Ambazonian area. This significant change in posture requires Ambazonians not for only recognize the change of posture for the enemy, but demand a complete withdrawal of Cameroon in Ambazonia in a well-articulated manner that recognize progress before refusing it as being not even scratching the minimum that attain our objective or aspiration or even a just settlement of the problem, but a complete denial, a complete dismissal of this change of posture for La République did not help us internationally to project our nationalism. And the primary reason is because we are too divided, and every organization is afraid that by addressing this issue that need address, not for the purpose that we want to accept it, not for the purpose that we want to consider it, but to show the direction for which we can move progressively to address this crisis, and also to use it to cajole the international community that we are reasonable. We see such diplomatic maneuvers across the globe. We have seen the Ukrainian government playing in terms of negotiation with the main hope to cajole the international community to fund their war and defend their cause. We in Ambazonia, we have assumed that because our cause is just and right, automatically the international community will just intervene and grant us victory or recognize the principle of international laws that are involved and support us or validate our cause. It does not work like that even in Ukraine. Without the Ukrainian president and the people of Ukraine being willing to stand up, articulate, and fight for themselves, the world will ask them to allow Russia to take over their country, even when it is against international law. It is upon us, Ambazonia, to fight for our right to address the concerns and significant incidents that surrounds our war and our plight in a way that will make sense to the people that we must appeal to them. Because we like it or we don't like it, we are not living in our own cocoon. We are living in a global village, and we need the international community for us to be able to attain our independence or to have significant pressure on La République du Cameroon to have our independence. For us to send the right signal to the international community and to our enemy and colonizer La République du Cameroon, we must address all the changes in posture while advocating our own plight and demonstrating to the world that what we ask for is fair, just, sustainable, and right to bring lasting peace in this part of the Gulf of Guinea. Failure to collectively address this issue or even respond to this issue is a clear indication of failure, irresponsibility, disunity, dysfunctioning, and unable to assume responsibility that comes with being a state, a country, and a recognized people. Our people have demanded one thing: independence and separation from La République. The status quo is something we can never accept or tolerate. But for us to win, we must be capable of demonstrating smartness, responsibility to engage the various factions in the international community and the various stakeholders in a meaningful way that may lead to a positive solution for our people. Diplomacy for get independence, no be quarter talk, no be talk for inside Shah house or Mbu house. The one na another level. Are we capable of playing in that league, or are we not? Our minds have been clouded with hate speech, clouded with aggravated praises for those we love, aggravated hatred for those we hate. At the end of the day, we incapacitate ourselves. But we must rise up. We must come together around sound-mindedness, about reasonableness, so that we can together lead our people to victory. If not, the enemy will write the story of our history as they are doing today. God bless you all. Capo Daniel looking out for you.